So this is a client out of Alberta. He's got a couple different companies, but one has been just accumulating. He's done everything his accountant has told him to do. He hasn't paid himself extra dividends. He's been accumulating retained earnings over time. And this is a long-term business owner. He's got well in excess of a couple $1 million of capital inside his company. And he's just sick and tired of paying the AAII, that's the adjusted accumulated or adjusted aggregate investment income, punitive rates of tax in Alberta, which is almost at 50% on every dollar that he makes in interest or passive income of any kind. And he's just, I'm sick and tired of it. I don't mind paying my tax. And I think this, you've probably heard this as well, Joey, but most business owners aren't totally opposed to paying tax, but they don't see the value in the taxes that they are being forced to support the rest of the country with. So he's got two strikes against him. He's from Alberta. He's a business owner, so he feels doubly attacked. But we had a great conversation with him about taking a portion of that money and just transferring it into an asset class that's tax exempt inside his company, so that he can accumulate any retained earnings that he has over time into this asset class. He's moving it over a little bit of probably 1/10 over a 10-year period. And from then on in, he's no longer paying any income tax on the returns that he's creating on that money. He controls the liquidity, so therefore he has the control and access to that money at any time through either leverage or making withdrawals. He can create a very tax-efficient strategy for retirement income. And plus, because it is got a wrapper of the insurance contract, it's also able to pay out to either his beneficiaries of the shares of his company. And we'll go into the technical details of how that works, but it's transferred to the next generation. And I don't know any business owner in Canada these days that isn't interested in tax-efficient wealth transfer to the next generation, taking care of their family, taking care of the people that they care about, but still having the living benefits of all the things that they can do with it.
No, that's true. And you're saying about Alberta, well, I'm from Quebec, so I can definitely relate when you talk about that. But I think I'm going to speak for a lot of business owners in Canada that I think there's a big stigma around the ultra wealthy, the wealthy not paying taxes, and that line of, I want to pay my fair share, but I just don't want to overpay. And I want to make sure it's legal. There's a lot of information out there. And then there's your CPA or your current team that they're being defensive as possible, right? So that nothing happens to you. So I feel like business owners, they're kind of restrained in not knowing what to do. And whenever they get a piece of information, their number one reflex is, I don't know, that sounds too good to be true. What do you have to say to those business owners like me, for example, that I'm hearing this as well?
Yeah, well, the things we do aren't based on belief, because it's not a religion. This is very pragmatic. It's mathematical, it's pragmatic, and it's outlined in the act. It's codified under law that you're able to do these things. And most business owners are super surprised that when they dig into the benefits of the Income Tax Act, that's provided to them. There are provisions within the Income Tax Act that benefit business owners, that benefit the creation of wealth, because that's what the original intent was, to structure a tax system that provided some benefits for people that are providing jobs. When you look at the small business community in Canada, it is the number one employer still, even though we've had this huge expansion of government employees. Small business in Canada provides the majority of the jobs, the majority of the economic growth in this country. And so, they are being hammered, on the other hand, because over the last 10, 15 years, the tax regime has gotten more and more punitive to people who are creating wealth, creating success in this country. So the number one thing I would say is that don't just say, I don't believe in it. when part of the law codifies these strategies. The number two thing is not a religion, and number three, when you actually sit down, go through the parts of the Income Tax Act with their tax professional would say, yes, those things are true within the act. You know, a lot of tax professionals may not take the same stance of saying whether this is a suitable strategy for their clients. But within every accountant's book, there is a certain amount of business owners that can absolutely take advantage of the things that to your point, the wealthy have always been doing this. They've been doing this in Canada, almost 200 years, 175 years, these strategies have been in place and under law in Canada. So are they available to the you and me level? You know, we're both entrepreneurs, and certainly we can do all these things that the ultra wealthy are doing, just on perhaps a micro scale. That instead of, you know, sheltering billions of dollars, we might be able to shelter $100,000, $1 million a year. Whatever that number is subjective. And I just think that more people need to be educated on these things. And I think that's the great point of this podcast, is that you're providing a great valued service to business owners who are looking to educate themselves and, quite frankly, running out of options.